HyperX. Okay. Okay, now it's working again. Okay. Dear Lord. Okay, now it's working again. Okay. Dear Lord. Alright, I can't do that. It's way too much weird ass audio. Okay, this is DRM76Z coming from you live on the Graveyard on wavelength 388. Today we are continuing with the clan shenanigans and a few other things. Apologies for the late stream. I had to stay late at work for a few things and get some stuff done and monitor a few things, you know. Yo, first, what's up, my guy? What's up? Right, hot as hell, and it's getting hot in here. Then I had a storm knock out my internet for a while, so unfortunately I'm just starting now. Fair, I'll give you that, fair enough. Same day every day. Alright, perfect. Alright. Oh, interesting. Jade Shadows is delayed by a day now. Tenocon, oh god. Tenocon Darby deals, what is this? Oh god. Oh, okay. Senegoth, ooh, Titania. I already have the Caliban one. I actually have that hung up on my door, actually. Tenocon 2022 merch pack. Okay. Huh. I wonder if this is actually like gonna be swag we can get. Ooh. Oh, that's a lot. Oh my god, USD? Jesus Christ. Wukong shirt, villain shirt. Mesa, Rhino. The mug could be cool. That could be cool. I wonder if they have the sentient stout glass or not still. Probably not. Sold out, sold out, sold out. The 10-year anniversary pen. Well, it's 11 years now, so. I do like the posters, like the Plix posters. Those are really nice. Those are nice. Alright, you can even buy previous year's merch packs. That could be interesting. 2023 one could be cool. The bobblehead for Excal. Nice. Alright, merch shopping aside, I got some crystal hunting, I got some hunting with my bow, and a few other little things here and there. Drink and be merry. Fuck yeah. Alright, let me crack open a... Yeah, I don't have enough Warframe slots. Man, it sucks not having anything. So first, how are you doing? Hell yeah, man. What have you been grinding? Alright, I have a format. I can head back to the dojo and build some things now. Dojo building first. Everything else secondary. Yes. Hell yeah. Oh, God. So what have you been grinding for, by the way, mate? You son of a bitch. Take a bit of a breather, eh? Alright. Leaving the dojo. Dojos were not built in a day, I suppose. It seems like they take a few days to build. Also, Jade Shadows is now coming out on the 18th. I wonder what happened. I love my Steam. It's just like 10 open pages. I'm gonna close all these. A little embarrassing. Jade Shadows, play free, coming to all platforms on the 18th. Ooh, contains significant spoilers for Warframe. To ensure that all attend enjoy the best possible experience, we ask that complete the quest at their own pace. Yeah, you probably had just a bunch of matches out or a bunch of washes, and you're just like, nah, I gotta palate cleanse a little and figure out what the fuck's going on, eh? New game mode Ascension. The Stalker Stronghold is an immense assault of marauding Corpus forces Wait, why the hell is Corpus? Huh. Jade Orid helmet, Eversong, Harmony, and Kantar. Oh, my brother's gonna be happy with that one, the Ureli skin. My brother loves Ureli. Enemy scaling and rework, Terror landing craft, that could be good. Jade merch? Oh, Jade. Oh, that's Stalker, so. Abilities. Create a well of light that heals and hurts enemies. Well, that's just an upgrade compared to Trinity. I wonder if anyone's gonna even play Trinity at this point. I haven't seen a Trinity main in a while, to be fair. Nice. What's your pick of poison? Some beer, some ready-to-drink shit. What's your poison? Me, I like getting local beers around my city, or I like going to certain stores here to pick up like 7%ers. Man, 7%ers are so good. Addictive, but really good. Okay, let me find that damn pesky thing. Titania Pass. Yes, let's see if I can find these suckers. Oh, perfect, I found some suckers. I was thinking of actually popping a craft beer, actually, but I was looking through my arsenal. Don't got much. Hell yeah, we got a... I got a wisp, which isn't bad. Okay. No, it's okay, mate. Like I said, the clan is always open, mate. Okay. Oh, Ether Digger's leveled up. Play at your own pace. That's the one thing about Warframe. It's always something you'll come back to. Uh-oh. No, you don't. You're not dying on my watch. You fucking hold honor in this clan. I'm not gonna fucking have disrespect with other players. We always revive our teammates, even though it might be not the smartest play. Perfect. We have a Nova, we have a Wisp. And who is the fourth member of our little crew? Whoop. Okay. Maybe these people don't know. Maybe, because... Whoop. Alright. Okay. There's a bunch of them down there, which will be good. Alright. Okay. Might be drink and be merry, but we have to have some respect for other players. Yeah, take your time, mate, first. Enjoy the day. We only have so many days, after all. Yes, prismatic ward reinforced. Good. Oh god, we are very bad at the collection game on this run. Okay. Fireball. Nice. I don't like cinnamon myself, but everyone to their own for their drinking. Oh, you son of a motherfucker. Come here. Come here, asshole. No, you don't. You don't get to blow me apart and just leave and have to say, good day, sir. No. Hell yeah. Got your back. Hell yeah. Okay, let's go. Guys, we gotta collect crystals in between or it's not gonna be worth much. Yes! Oh, shit. Damn it. I should have probably went bet. Got your back, bet. Yeah, I'll bet you, Mr. Cronus. Let's go. Or Mark K. Cronus. I got a feeling, mate. Let's go. Hey, motherfucker. Bring it on. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. We got a Saren. We're fine. It's funny, it's like, oh, are you willing to do 4 rounds of a TD's game mode? Yes, this is literally Warframe. What else am I here for? To actually have fun? Pfft, nope. I'm here for the grind and the inevitableness of the grind. That's what I bloody enjoy about it, and I'm gonna keep fucking enjoying it. There is another game I may play on stream eventually called Wayfinder, which was a game DE was backing for a while, and then they had to pull back because of a bunch of issues, blah, blah. And the game went to a more single-player ARPG style, which everyone knows what my Saturday streams are, ARPGs. So that's on the list. I'm going to do some prototype playing, though, of the game, just to see what it's like. It looks like it's going to be more of a character-based ARPG, which isn't my cup of tea. Feels like kind of an Overwatch-like game. I don't really like action or character shooters, kind of like character shooters like that. I like making my character my own, but it might be a class thing where it's like your character is the class. So I'm hoping that's the case. I know Wayfinders is a bit of... It has controversy because everyone's like, oh, you know, Thunder Packs and all that. So this will be like a perspective of a new player that has never played it before and only hopped on when it became what is called Wayfinder Echoes, where it's an offline ARPG more kind of thing. Where it's kind of more like Warframe, where it can be like more of like a drop-in co-op kind of thing. So I'm interested in what that's going to look like, to be honest. There we go. Crystal reinforced, Bella Crystal, yep. Let's go, boys. I like Mr. Cronus' like bet. I'm like, bro, come on, or Mark Cronus, come on. This is fucking Warframe, mate. If you think a guy who's played over 1,000 hours of this damn thing isn't willing to play an extra 30, come on. You obviously don't know how this Warframe addiction thing works. You play, you beat, you survive, you win. And that's the great thing about it. But no, man, I miss streaming. Like, it was funny. I stayed after work until almost like 4 o'clock. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get going. Then I still have like a 45-minute trip home. I'm like, fuck. I'm fucked. And then one of my colleagues like, I can drive you up to this place. I'm like, that works. Deal. Let's go. Okay. No, you don't. You are not taking my spot here, assholes. Okay. Paralyze. Oh, right, my range is crap. Right, I don't have any of the auger mods. The semi-booster mods, like the half-step mods. Oh well. Time for Dadaruk and try to clear out as many assholes as I can. God. I think I might pop a logger, actually, I think I got an Andy over here I can pop, so I think I'll do that as soon as I get a bit more comfortable in fighting these arseholes. It's funny, there's one tag you can actually put on your stream called like Warframe Creator. I'm like, I'm not even fucking close to being a Warframe Creator, come on here. I find a creator is someone that utilizes the content they can already make and make something new from it while using the old. I'm not using like current Warframe to make content. All I'm doing is just streaming current Warframe through my perspective. And I don't think my perspective is unique enough to pretty much say, oh yeah, my perspective is 100% unique and different. It's like, no, a lot of people have similar perspectives on things. There might be one aspect I may differ on a lot of other people, but at the end of the day, we are all still people, so we all have similar beliefs and understandings of what certain things are, right? Like, we have a shared common reality. Unlike how things work and everything. Don't get me wrong, there are some people that really take certain things to extremes, as there always has been in any kind of society. But I think that's what makes society so interesting. Because generally, we do take things through illogical extremes and logical extremes. And I think it's the balance between the two that creates a very interesting contrast. Sometimes, I think extreme radicalization, however, on either side of, let's say, an aisle or whatever, let's say it's politics, for example, it will inevitably create fanatics on both sides, regardless on how, let's say, how generic their beliefs were at the beginning. So even like a small cause that is very small and minute can become a very dangerous issue just because people become fanatical about it. And that's like the dangers of fanaticism or zealotry. And generally, you know, like, history's always taught us, or should have taught us. That's what I find is annoying about modern schooling and everything. They don't teach us the hazards or the dangers of lack of knowledge, because they just don't teach it. Which is unfortunate, because that is really required. Or I think it should be a requirement to like all schools to teach you the idea of consequence in history. And the lack of knowledge being a massive factor in on how people control you and manipulate you. But no, it's way easier to control and manipulate people if we just make sure they don't know the knowledge to do so. Here's the thing, it's easier to keep people dumb, right? Not teach them about certain things. It's easier to keep them nice and dumb because it's easier to control someone that doesn't know certain things. That's why, for example, in a lot of Western countries, they don't teach you the law. They just teach you don't break this rule. And don't teach you the fundamental in and outs of that rule. Like, oh, you know, it would take forever to explain. I'm like, no, if it's a right, you should know it. It's literally in that piece of paper, you know, like that Constitution, or in Canada, it's the Charter of Rights. It's in a piece of paper that every Canadian citizen should know, like, back to back, and by heart, but nope. It is easier to keep the populace nice, blind, and ignorant. Because people realized a long time ago, if people know, let's say, their rights, for example, they are more stubborn and less cooperative, so they realized, okay, the easiest way to make people more cooperative is just don't teach them that. If they are raised without a system of morality that is away from, let's say, the Bill of Rights, for example, where it's like, oh, you have a freedom of this, freedom of that. And if they're not taught that, all you know is like, oh, this document exists and it says we have rights and freedoms, but you don't know the importance of it. You never just don't know why it's important, you just don't care. You get this kind of indifference on like, oh, I have rights, but so what? They've already been violated kind of thing, and this non-enthusiasm about, let's say, the rights and freedoms you should have as a citizen or whatever have you. And it's like, oh yeah, I have rights and freedoms, but I don't know what they are, so I just say, oh, that's violating my rights and freedoms. Like, no. I think if you're teaching a school, like a schooling thing, you should be teaching, like, the rights and the rules of the land. Even if you think it's a small thing, I think it's still very important to teach people that. Because at the end of the day, you still live in, like, whatever country it may or may not be in, right? And that's incredibly important if you live in a certain country, right? Like, if you live in a country, you should know the rights and the laws and the traditions. If you don't know, go, nah, I'm not going to pay attention to that shit. I'm just going to do what I want. What are you going to do? Even in places like America, where they are very heavy on the rights and freedoms thing, you know, they're like, oh, I don't define my rights or anything. Even then, their rights are being just stripped from them slowly, over time, thoroughly, and slowly. Over time, just enough so people don't realize what they're losing until it's way too late. And they've actually normalized the idea of taking away people's rights as, oh, you're being difficult because you're trying to stand up for your rights or whatever it may be. And I find that's interesting, right? They call them, like, I think in America they call them sovereign citizens or something. I'm just calling them cringe, but they fundamentally fight for a right, right? Like, they fight to stand for the rights of American citizens, even though I do agree they do go a little far. I do believe they are zealots to a certain degree and fanatic about the idea. But I think there's a happy middle ground of explaining, okay, they're taking your rights away, this is how they're doing it. Compared to how sovereign citizens just say, they're taking away your rights. It's like, how are they? It's like, oh, well, they just are because of this thing, right? So, like, any kind of cause, there are extremes, and the thing is, it's easier to highlight the extreme parts of that element and go, yep, this is the extreme part, you know, this is all it is, and you're the extremists, don't look at us, we're the government, trust us. And I'm like, ah, yes, trust the government. Not like the government's ever screwed anyone over at all. Not like that's ever happened in my lifetime. There we go. Oh, God. It's also one of those things, it's hard to be a free thinker and also independent at the same time, generally. Generally, why I think that is because when you try to free think, you also have to be independent enough so if your thoughts are deemed bad or wrong, they can't punish you. Like, let's say it's a government saying, hey, you have a naughty opinion about something we did like 20 years ago. Well, we have a branch of government agents that want to persuade you otherwise. You're like, oh, goody, intimidation, perfect. And that's the thing, you have to be independent enough and free-thinking enough to survive a lot of things in the modern day. Because everyone's like, oh yeah, we have all these modern amenities. I'm like, you know, those can be turned off in an instant, right? Like, those things we enjoy so much, like, let's say gaming or just generally having fun, it can be taken away quite easily. Any kind of escapism. Like, you can see this with modern entertainment and games now, where a lot of modern games just have lost their spark, their interest, their appeal, just because they drape over something so ugly. You're just like, oh god, I don't want to see that. You could argue it's like the characters are getting uglier or the stories are less interesting and stuff like that, but I would argue that it's a combination of all those factors that's making gaming unappealing for a lot of people. And also the mythical, we always try to chase the biggest audience possible, which I think gaming's audience has grown, don't get me wrong, compared to like the people that would play certain games to nowadays, and the selection of games have been as big as it's ever been, but you're only going to still capture that same amount of audience. You're not going to capture a whole new audience for gaming. Like, if there's someone interested in, let's say, the setting of a game, they will play it. Will they play long? Probably not, because if they make, like, a game is a combination of many factors. It's not as simple as, oh, is it a combination of this, this, and this? Like, no, it's a combination of many things. And that's the thing, you have to balance, because there's the thing, there's a lot of moving parts in a game, from like the visuals to the sound effects to everything. Like, there's a lot in games that you have to balance, and it's a very delicate balancing act, because you have to make sure, okay, is this good enough? Is this what I want to show as a presentation? Is this how I want to present my game world? Blah blah. You have to make sure you're actually presenting the thing you want to present. Right? Without it, your game falls apart and it's just considered bad because it doesn't uphold certain things. Like, a game can be judged on a lot of things, from sound design to its just how well does it even feel to play, right? Like, there are some games that like knock, like, maybe let's say 9 out of 10 aspects out of like design aspects. Let's say it's like visuals, audio, visual, right, are your three key factors, right? And then there's subsections of each. Well, let's say the game looks visually gorgeous, right? Like, you're like, oh my god, this game looks great. And then there are minor things, right? Like, some people, like, depending on like the person, right? Some people are like, oh, I need a story to play a game. Other people are like, is the combat good? I can enjoy it. Or how does the game play? If the game plays really soft and smooth, yep, I like that about it. Right? There's all kinds of people that play games, right? So the whole idea of general audience only applies to certain people that your game is curtailed for. Like, every product, it's built for a problem or built for a certain person. That's really it. It's the equivalent of trying to sell a plumber. Oh my god, what would you try to sell a plumber that would be useless? Plumbers are pretty fucking inventive people. Any tradesman is, to a certain degree. Fucking tradesmen are fucking inventive assholes, and they're fucking smart as hell, too. Because they've been around the block a few times. I'd probably say giving a plumber a router would be pretty useless. Like, on the job site, like, he's like, oh, I need, like, a half-inch pipe or whatever, and you just hand him some busted old crappy router from the 90s. And you just look at them and go, what the fuck is this shit? And he's like, what do you mean? You can use this as a pipe. And you just look at him and go, what the fuck are you on? I do need flow on here. Okay. There we go. Killed him. Okay, turning off hysteria. Gotta make sure I turn that off on occasion, or I might just drain my energy outright. I know I don't use my energy that much, but... Oh, no! Ah, damn it, I tried to ripjack back up. Crap. Okay. Fuck no, Tyler Rigor. Come on here. I've done 1 hour grind fest on survival on Steel Path. Do you think this is hard? Buddy, you have no meaning the definition of hard. Until you see the shit I've done. God, could I do an no, I would have to unlock Steel Path first, and that would be fucking hard as shit. Ah, yes, but talking about video games again. I think video games are a medium unlike any other, generally. Because there's so many parts of a video game you could critique, right? Hell, there are some people that will create YouTube videos like hours long just critiquing one aspect of a game. Not even the whole, just a singular aspect. Gotta turn down the audio here because it's a little loud. And that's the thing, right? A lot of people can critique one or two things about a game, but do miss it on the whole. Or there are people that will do retrospectives that are just a massive coverage of everything in the game. Right? Like, there's all kinds of people that could criticize a game for a single aspect or a single like, storytelling thing. And you could say that's a valid criticism, like, obviously. Or someone that just tears apart the whole game in its entirety from, let's say, what do you call it? Oh, man. From, like, let's say, story to audio design to a lot of things. There are a lot of things you can do with games that you can do a teardown completely of, like, and, like, the game just being a complete buggy mess, right? Because each part does feed into each other, I would say. Yeah, I'm going to turn it up a bit, actually. I'll keep it at 65 from now on, I think. Just allow the desktop audio to actually filter through correctly, I think. Yeah, but what I'm essentially trying to say or articulate better is when you review something, let's say a game, movie, or media, it becomes harder when the media itself is initially complex. When you think of a movie synopsis or someone reviewing a movie, you normally think, oh, they're like complimenting the actor's acting ability or the musical choice for certain things or sound effects, right? Or the story. A lot of people will hammer on the story about certain movies and everything, right? Ow, you son of a bitch. I think I knocked him off, though. Oh, defend the other crystal. Uh-oh. Okay. And generally, you're like, okay, that's a valid criticism for X, Y, or Z. But there's a lot of times, let's say when you critique media, generally you have to be very careful. Not because you're like, oh, you know, I want to be friends with whoever industry or whatever. No, 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 no. You have to be careful because you have to make a thorough analysis of it and have a good understanding of it. It's the equivalent of, it's like, I analyzed a book I didn't even read. It's like, no. You have to understand the source material to a certain degree. I'm not saying you have to, like, for example, if you read a novel in a series, you have to finish reading the series to understand why it's plot relevant, right? Let's say it sets up a cliffhanger. It's essentially, oh, I'm going to complain about a cliffhanger. It's like, did you read the rest? Oh, well, no, but I'm going to criticize it as a standalone thing. That's the thing that does irk me a little bit when people are like, oh, you know, I judged this, let's say, part 1 out of 2 game series, and I only critiqued the first half of it because I didn't want to play the second half. I can understand having a miserable experience in a game. I've had several miserable experiences with certain games. But if I would ever review it, I would be like, okay, this game is a game, and it has a lot of bad elements. Let me explain it all. And I can understand why people would be like, this game was so bad I didn't want to finish a review. I could understand that. There are some, like, everyone has limits, to be fair. Like, you can only play a crappy game for so long, then you realize, maybe this game is truly shit. But I do think it does it a disservice to not play the game completely through. Or at least make it very well known, let's say in your video or whatever, that you make it very well known. You're like, hey, I couldn't play this game because it was really bad, you know. And, like, I can understand also if it has a lot of crashes. or a lot of technical issues every time you try to, let's say, play a certain game type or something like that. Am I saying that you have to do everything in the game to review it completely? No. Like, you don't have to 100% a game to be able to criticize it. Same as review it. I'm saying if, let's say, the main point of the game is, oh, it's story, you should at least play until the story is completed. Or say why you didn't do it in very thorough detail. A lot of people will go, oh, nah, game just shit. Which I do hate that with modern gaming journalism. Ugh, I hate that word. Gaming journalism, ugh. Whatever happened to hobbyists and enthusiasts? Who are just people that really love, let's say like Warframe or something, for example. Let's take Warframe as one. Whatever happened to the old days of, I just really like this thing, and I just want to share my passion with it. That no longer exists anymore. Everyone's like, oh, you need to make money off it or something. I'm like, fuck off. No. If I'm going to make money off a passion, I'd rather it something that I not only tremendously enjoy, but I can also bring to others joy. Let's see what this guy does. Saren might bail. Yeah, Saren bailed. Alright. Cool. Awesome. Alright. Let me break out some of the tricky maneuvers with the Ripjack here. The only problem with the Ripjack is it has a lot of momentum to control. That is the only problem with it. But no, I'm talking about critiquing media. Generally, my opinion on how to critique media is you should do it, but you should be able to admit when you do a bad take. Or you admit, okay, this is still my opinion. That is what it's meant to be, an opinion, not like objective fact. But that's the problem. A lot of people perceive it as objective fact, which you should never do. Like, you should realize a review, no matter how much it is just by, like, let's say, like a technical document, right? There are inevitably biases towards it. Inevitably. You can never say, no, there will never be a bias. Always will be. You can try to help curtail your own biases when you critique something, or analysis something, or try to understand it, blah, blah. There is a lot of things you can try to stop, right? Oh, our Wisp is down. I'm getting them back up. Bro, I was right there to revive you, mate. Okay. Okay. Let me just collect more crystals, because we are about to lose if I'm not careful. Okay. No. Shit. Okay, I gotta really start crystal gathering here. I'll let the other guys, like, defend. I'll crystal gather. And I don't like our Nova here. Mr. Cronus has to do this all on his own. Sorry, mate, but I gotta do this. Just so we can actually get the crystal repaired. Once we get the crystal somewhat repaired, I'm gonna see if I can start taking down these assholes. Okay. Yeah, my claws aren't upgraded. That's a massive problem. Also, I do like you do like a ball formation when you... Okay, let me just take these assholes down at least, just so I can... There we go. And I don't have the ability to make my insta-kill claws yet, which were like instant melting, insta-kill murder mittens. But at the same time, I'm just going to try to defend the crystals best I can. And see what I can do. So I'm not the best Warframe player, but I'm a pretty damn good stand when I have to be. Especially when I'm using a frame that would be deemed kind of worthless at this point in time. Valkyrie is not the greatest Warframe, and a lot of people can guess why she isn't that great. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people can enjoy using her, but a lot of people still don't like her. Which is fair enough. I'm not going to say I'm the best Valkyrie player, but I'm going to give her a damn good well day in court if I have to. But yeah, back to critiquing media. Generally, the best way to critique media is to have a very good understanding of it and the genre it comes from. Even if it's like a more unique experience, let's say, you should be able to compare it to other media that is similar to it. Because generally, we've created enough media over time where we literally just have a comparison to everything at this point. Even if, like, don't make a bad comparison. That's the problem. When people make a comparison that just makes no sense, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, why did you make this comparison? That happens a lot. I find with a lot of people, they just ramble on about bullshit about that, where they're like, oh, it's like this game, and definitely like that, and you're like, no, it's not like that game at all. Did you even play that game, or whatever it was, right? So it does annoy the shit out of me when people are like that, where they compare two different weird-ass things together, and they're like, it connects because there's a bit of a plot thread from one to the other. It's like, okay, what genre are they? Oh, well, one's a puzzle game, and one is in hardcore survival. I'm like, okay. How does the story go? Well, it has a similar plot point. That's really it. And you're like, mate, I don't care if it's a similar plot point. I care why you're making that comparison. Because the game you have to be able to compare things that are very similar to one another. Yeah, so let's say they're both the same genre. Let's say they both have the same story beats. Similar, but not outright the same. Each of them have differences. Let's say one game has a female protagonist, one game has a male protagonist only, right? Or let's say one allows you to choose your sex, and the other one does not. And that's an important thing as well. Like, even through, like, I wish games would do this more, is if you are X sex or whatever, your perspective does change on somewhat, and your outlook does change. A lot of people want to deny it because everyone believes, oh, we're all equal, but no. It comes down to like a fundamental core part of who and what you are. Being human, we have like, what do you call it? Biological necessities and all that garbage. I know people argue like day and night on what does it mean to be human, or, oh, you know, we've transcended humanity, or blah blah. All just kind of philosophical garbage, essentially. People exist, people have many different opinions on what X thing is, no matter what it is. And it just becomes very annoying and very pedantic, sorry, that's the word I was looking for. Pedantic. And yeah, it just inevitably just becomes oh, you know. And I wish games would take a more of an interesting perspective on that kind of stuff. You know, even like if someone's a different gender from one another, or different genders entirely, I want a game to more utilize that kind of perspective, that weird perspective. Yeah, let's just bail, boys. We will not survive another round.
We're done here. The extraction team will take over from here.
Hell yeah, 105 and 105, yes. And I think that's what a lot of people miss, is the unique perspective of certain, like, genres or genders or whatever have you. It becomes one of those things where people lose the perspective, which is unfortunate to a certain degree. I'd say it's a massive fucking disrespect, to be fair. Like, if you lose such perspective, right, like, you have to ground yourself in something, right? If you ground yourself in nothing, you'll inevitably be uprooted by everything, which is an unfortunate thing, and that is existence in itself when you want to think about it. Okay, I'm going to do one more run. Actually, I could upgrade my murder mittens now. Alright, murder mitten time. Right, okay, so let's see what I got. I got Molten Impact, good. Fever Strike, yep, need that. Need this. I need Pressure Point, Organ Shatter, this one from Umbra, which is the Chance one, which is Sacred Steel. And then I think Pressure Point, or that Pressure Point is not as good as my... Actually, let me check. It might be with Sacred Steel, or Sacrificial Steel. No, it's not. Actually, wait. If I have those two, is there anything else? I can use Reach. That will work. Good. Hysteria, Molten Impact, Fever Strike. So this is a pretty decently strong melee weapon. Unfortunately, I don't have the light. Oh, I do have Shocking Touch, but it takes 6. So let's take out Sacrificial Pressure and Reach. Let's put in Shocking Touch. And then take out Molten Impact. So I have Corrosion. No, I want to take out Fever Strike first. I want to move it over, and then turn... Nope, that turns into gas still. Let me see... Okay, let me do Lightning first, then this. Wait, it's normally... I'll do a Gas Claws for now. I know it's not going to be that good, but it's better than nothing. And then what I'll do is... I was going to do Reflexive Coil, but I don't think I need that. I'll do, yeah, pressure point for increased damage overall output. And reach. Yeah, that should, actually, wait, no. Instead of wasting on reach, I'll upgrade Shocking Touch to max. Just to increase damage outputs. There we go. Perfect. Now with that, we should be able to land a lot more critical strikes and do more decent damage with gas damage. Which gas is interesting to use. Generally, I remember gas was a pretty big meta back in the day, but nowadays not so much. But hey, we'll see what we can do. Because Shocking Touch and that. So let's see if I go Shocking Touch and that. Corrosion and Heat. That's the one I wanted. Corrosion and Heat. Perfect. Now Corrosion and Heat, I should be able... Yeah, Corrosion and Heat. And that will help me with just generally clearing out mobs and everything else. But yeah, my recommendation, if you ever do want to become, what do you call it, a reviewer, I would always recommend thoroughly review the content you are doing before you make a video. Or anything along those lines. Just so people understand your perspective. Let's say you've been playing games for X amount of years. That doesn't really matter. What matters is your perspective on the game you played and how you played it. And it's also very pertinent to actually have game footage that you actually had from yourself, like your own playthrough, instead of using other people's. Because that does seem a little dishonest, or you're like, oh yeah, I definitely played this game. Wink, wink. It's like, oh, they didn't play it at all, did they? But that's also another thing, too. It's hard to tell on who's actually played certain games or who has not. Very hard to tell that these days, sometimes. Because there were some times where you could instantly tell, oh yeah, that person definitely played that game, or like, they have no idea what they're talking about. It was very easy to identify way back in the day. And now it's just hard to tell if people actually play games, or if they just kind of just review them. As if they're kind of like a spectator, instead of actually... talking about the game, which I find is very interesting. How a lot of people will not even play the game they review, and they just say, oh yeah, definitely played it, you know, it was a pain in the ass, this, and this. Like, something doesn't seem right about that, or that, or that. It always reminds me of that, where you always think about it, and you're like, this person doesn't seem like they played this game, and you're like, oh. That's always the thing that goes in the back of my mind sometimes when I think about, like, how reviewers review games and everything. I'm like, did they actually play the game? And that's the funny thing, where it's like, normally before I wouldn't have those doubts generally, because I'm like, of course they would play it. Why are they making a video about it, right? But now I've lived long enough to realize why people do certain things they do. And sometimes there's just like, they just want to fucking just talk shit and bash it to death. I'm like, hey, I'm fine with talking shit, but... man, can you at least be either A, more creative, B, be funny, or C, actually fucking enjoy what you're ripping? Like, come on here. If you're gonna rip a game for being boring as hell or tedious or monotonous, at least try to give it a good rip. I'm like, come on. I've had a lot of people come in hot and they just fucking fail immediately. And you're like, come on, guys, come on. If you're gonna rip on something, you might as well rip on it good. And just be funny while you're doing it, not... some kind of guy's like, oh, I didn't like it because of this and that. No. Fucking show excitement and show some goddamn life, for fuck's sakes. If you're reviewing something, put your heart and soul in that damn thing, even though you fucking hate it. Hey, even if you especially fucking hate it, at least show goddamn passion for hating the shit out of it. But no, everyone's like, oh, you know, I don't want to be blawless. I'm like, no, fuck that. If something has wasted your time or you tremendously enjoy it, fucking shout it from the rooftops and say you fucking enjoyed it. Like, come on here. Because some people think volume is better than quality. I'm normally the opposite. I love quality over volume. Generally. So I find a lot of quality, like games and everything else, have already been reviewed, done to death, right? And bad games as well, right? A lot of bad games have also been reviewed to death, right? Like, how many, like, Doom Eternal, like, guides are there or something? Like, games that are really good by, like, just generally by everyone that enjoys games or even moderately plays games, right? Like, everyone knows, oh, everyone knows of Doom, right? Everyone knows of X game. Like, a good one for MMOs is World of Warcraft. I was gonna say Terra, but I don't think a lot of people remember Terra. I'm pretty sure the server shut down ages ago. It might have shut down, or it got moved to a different company or something. I can't remember specifically, but I remember Terra shut down for a time. I remember because I played a lot of Terra. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting game. But side tangent aside, you should generally, when you critique media or movies or whatever media you do critique, you should at least A, either have a passion for it, or B, at least be able to talk about it. And not be passionate to a point where you're blind to its flaws. Well, then again, there are a lot of people that are blind to many flaws, so. That's the other thing, too. It's like you can't tell if people are being either honest about how blind they are because they just love the media, or they're just trying to be disingenuous. And that's sometimes a very hard line to draw on for certain people. You try to draw, it's like, okay, is this person being disingenuous or just don't know? Or, and that's the thing, it's just like, it is very hard to tell. And if you make that wrong assessment or that wrong gauge, ooh boy, you're going to have the hounds of Twitter on your hands. Or sorry, X, sorry. Modern age, god damn it. And like, man, you will have the hounds of Twitter against you just for even making a slightly edgy comment. You're like, oh no, anyway. Oh my god, it is some of the funniest thing. I remember back in the day, people that like curtailed that line were considered weak because they would always just try to be like, oh, I don't want to offend anyone. I'm like, man, remember the mid-2000s, everyone, where being offensive was like the thing to do? You know, fucking offending everyone, you know, making fun of edgy topics and making edgy jokes. It's like, oh, I wouldn't, like, all that other shit. It's like, no. We don't live in the 2000s anymore. We live in the 2020s where everyone has a tism about everything. Everyone hates each other for no other reason than they just think a little differently. And they don't all conform. And I'm like, man, remember, these are probably the same people from 20, 30 years ago that were like, oh, rebel against the system and everything. And now they want to be part of that system. And they want you to be part of that system, which I find is hilarious, where people are like, you must rebel against the machine, like 20 years ago, modern day. Oh, you have to conform with the machine. And you're like, really? Conform with this, like, tireless, faceless machine that doesn't give a shit about you? It's like, yes. It's like, why is that? Well, it believes in the same things you do. It's like, no, it doesn't. It's just a new coat of paint. What do you mean? They're just going to wipe that shit off as soon as you, quote, conform to it. It's like, come on, man. Like, come on. As the President of the United States would say, come on, man. Like, come on. Like, you have to... There's a... What would you say? Reasonability? Like, the thing is, I use the word reasonability, and then I realize that word doesn't actually exist anymore to a certain degree. As in, people have lost the idea of reasonability fucking ages ago. No one sees anything as reasonable anymore unless it's on their side of whatever it may be. Because the idea of generosity, let's say the belief or give the benefit of the doubt, no longer exists in modern Western society. No fucking way, no how. That has died, like, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago. Just as a result of just hyperpolarization and what do you call it? I was going to say partisan politics. Essentially, it's divided countries. Like, this happens in countries like all the fucking time. A lot of people don't really realize that. And also, people don't realize when there's a war or whatever. Generally, the nation still technically exists. It's just in a period of turmoil, right? The country may be falling apart, but it doesn't mean everyone's lives falls apart, right? It's actually interesting when you're in... I've never been to a war zone myself, to be fair. But the stories I hear about, like, when people were in, I think, Egypt during the Egyptian Civil War that happened, like, just a few years ago, not everything just fell apart instantly. It wasn't like, oh, one day... No, people still lived their daily lives, even though there was a civil war going on. And, like, generally wars only affect those that are in the political class. And let's say people are connected to the political class, like military and higher up people in government generally are affected. Ooh, Towforge, nice. And generally that's the crux, right? A civil war occurs, but it doesn't destroy everyone's lives. It never becomes later when, you know, streets are bombed out and, you know, hundreds of thousands are dead in the streets due to mass genocides and all that. Not the pleasant stuff you get to read about in history. Well, the funny thing is, everything that leads to, like, let's say, civil war or fracturing of a nation is just no one can have a common idea or belief point anymore, and everyone must have a different viewpoint no matter what. And the culture now being separated by viewpoints, regardless of legitimacy or illegitimacy, essentially destroy it. Generally, this is what occurs with a lot of societies. Where, let's say they're built on like a single pillar of strength or a single pillar of belief, where they're like, this is this or this is that or whatever, right? Well, then they're like, okay, what's the exception to that rule? And then they give an inch, and they give another inch. And inevitably, that reasonability goes out the window, because now your topic is now completely changed from the original, because you kept changing it just to curtail more and more people. Oh my god, that was a weird fucking speed. And this does cause a massive issue. It does generally destroy most societies when this occurs. Essentially a massive you could argue it's bipolar, I suppose. Or I would say bifurcation, essentially a cut in half of, let's say, 50 people say no, 50 people say yes. Well, now how are we going to resolve the issue if people are both on each side stalwart on their idea of what this topic means? Whatever the topic may be, of course. Of course. And generally, that is the problem. Like, where do you determine the good and the bad problems? Like, which one do you determine? Like, normally, it's the court of opinions, right? Generally, the court of opinion will say if it's a good or bad idea, and it will be tested out in, you know, practicality, right? Like, is this practical to follow, or is this just a hokey nonsense? But I think it's like life has gotten so easy and good in the West, to a certain degree, that the bad ideas don't die. Because they're like, this sounds like a good idea, and then people try to implement it, and it inevitably fails because it was a really crappy idea. You could argue that with like tons of ideas, though, where it's like, oh, there's a lot of ideas we have in our heads that we think is good on, like, mentally, but on paper they're fucking garbage. And yeah, that happens a lot with a lot of things. But generally, the way we prove things is allow it to like be in the wild and see what happens. If it just dies, then we knew it wasn't viable. But with like modern culture these days, I think that's not happening. The bad ideas that we said was a really bad idea have propagated because the lack of, you could argue natural predators are just natural predator, as in like the idea just naturally dying from either lack of interest, or people see its absolute stupidity or idiocy when someone explains it to someone else, or like things like that. Or the other time where bad ideas gain traction is desperation. Let's say your country just fell apart due to a famine or something, right? Let's say that your country is currently falling apart because there's not enough food to feed the people. Oh, let's just see this little ideology here says, oh, you can feed all your people and everything else if you just work together. Like, oh, that sounds really nice. Just work together and everything is fine. And this is the idea on the surface. And then it gets more and more insidious as time goes on. One day it will be no one can farm at, let's say, people can only farm during the night instead of the day. And then it will just slowly and slowly inch and inch to things that make less and less sense. To a point where you never really don't know why you're doing the things you're doing. The laws and the rules of the land just keeps changing and no one knows why. And that's how we have like a bloated law system in a lot of countries in the West. Because we have no idea why certain laws were made. We have no idea why we needed those laws. But they're still on the books, so technically you could be arrested for it. But they don't reinforce it. What do they enforce? They enforce any law that is not on the books, but is societally acceptable on the books. Regardless if it's on the book or not. So let's say they're like, oh, you can't play loud music at X time, right? Let's just say that. Let's give a pretty reasonable example. And hopefully it points it out. Hopefully. So let's say they're like, you cannot play music between 9 to 5 a.m. to p.m. So 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can't play any kind of loud, distracting noises. You're like, okay, that's a little weird to be silent in the day where most people are awake. You're like, yes, that would be weird, wouldn't it? But let's say the neighborhood you live in is all part of, let's say, a workforce that all works at night and sleeps throughout the day. Now that would make a lot more sense. But let's say they just did it because they're like, oh, well, we feel more comfortable with peaceful throughout the day. And you're like, well, I have a life too to live. As in, you desire to have a life. Or you think you do. It's funny, my sister's like, oh, I deserve to live a life. I'm like, okay, but there's like thousands of ways to live. You don't have to live one way. That kind of inbox thinking prevents you from thinking grander scale of things. Which is, hey, up to them, right? So, but that's the thing. Like, people often make decisions, but don't have to actually pay for the consequences of those decisions. Which is unfortunate to a certain degree, because, oh my god, and this is just becoming more and more about morality and how fucked any morality system can get, which is enough idiocy and stupidity. God, I sound like a pretentious asshat. Anyway, back to interesting weird ass topics I do like and I find really fucking stupid. Jesus Christ. How would I define the modern political landscape? I'd say fucked. It is completely fucked. I think I would probably make a French Revolution comparison. After the French Revolution, there's a fuck ton of other bunch of other smaller factions vying against each other until Napoleon just wore the big pants and said, I am the leader now. It's a simplified kind of thing, but generally it kind of happened like that. But between the interim period after the royalty were Frenched, let's just say that they were very Frenched, and let's say they lost their power, quote unquote. They got very Frenched. I'm not going to elaborate on what that means. And then essentially a pseudo-parliament was built, and there was a bunch of chaos in between. And the funny thing is, during these chaotic interim periods, they had a lot of good ideas. But the thing is, with any kind of ideology or thought of ideology, it relies on people being the absolute best of being human. As in, you know, stalwart, honorable, diligent, perfect, essentially. The problem is, you're relying on everyone to be that all the time and never slip. People slip all the time. Let's say it's just some words here and there. Let's say it's a rule to be enforced no matter what. Let's say... What the hell? Wait, it said the crystal's... Oh, shit. Crystal's not under attack yet. God damn it. And it's one of those things where it's like, They had lots of good ideas. And also really bad ideas. And there was a bunch of political backstabbing. Well, any other country that was just founded by revolutionists always have that. I've never heard of a peaceful revolution in my life, even though people say there are some. It reminds me of the riots in 2020 where, like, fiery but mostly peaceful as you see cars literally burning. You're like, peaceful, you say. Like, just like peaceful at the festival, right, guys? Like, it is the funniest shit I've ever seen. Where people are like, this is peaceful, and then you just see, like, cars burning, and you see, like, burned out buildings and bomb-shelled buildings and shit. You're like, ah, yes, peaceful protesters, And then you see actual peaceful protesters get, like, harassed for bullshit, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you realize, oh, because they're on the unfavorable political side, and the other one's on the favorable political side. I see. And you're like, that's not like that. They were actually being violent. It's like, okay, where's their violence? And then you see a video recording of just them being just standing there, just not doing anything. And then you see actually violent people, or let's say people are taking advantage, because there's always going to be that person that's like, I'm going to take advantage of this. There we go. There will always be people that will inevitably take advantage of either strife or, let's say if there's a civilization that feels guilty about something, whatever it may be, people will often try to exploit that guilty feeling the people have to make advances in that society, regardless on it may or may be. Some people say, oh, that's justified because they were wronged by it or something like that. But like, no, people will always use a cause like that to gain an upper hand. Being right or wrong does not matter to them as long as they gain personal benefit. Disgusting? Yes. But it shouldn't be allowed, but people still do it anyway, because, you know, who's going to stop them, right? Generally, that becomes the thing. It's like, oh, who's going to stop me from doing this, like, really immoral thing? And generally, in modern society these days, nothing, actually, which is Kind of the sad part, because back in the day, we used to use shaming and everything on people's bad behavior, right? It wasn't violent. It was just like, hey, you fucked up, right? It's the equivalent of, it's like, I'm not mad at you, I'm disappointed. But now there's not enough disappointment anymore, so they just keep doing it anyway, and you're like, mate, stop. Stop doing it. Stop being an idiot. It's like, no, it's my choice. I can do whatever I want, even though it's really incredibly stupid by shoving my hand into the blazing fire here. Not like this will ever burn me or anything. Burns them. They're like, oh, society should have told me I should have burned myself. It's like, no. It's not society's job to teach you how to be not an idiot. It's reliant, like, there is a certain point where people are like, we built a system that is perfect in every single way. And then people were stupid and fucked it up. It's like, maybe the reason why it's fucked up because you're trying to build it on an imperfect model. They're like, oh, but we're human. It's like, yes, so you have to build exceptions because we're human. And that's the thing. That's why exceptions in, like, lawfare and everything exists. It exists for a very good reason. So when someone says we will not make absolute no kind of thing for it, it becomes really fucking stupid. We're like, there's no exceptions to this law whatsoever. And if you try to do anything sneaky about it, we are going to do bad things to you. It's like, okay, what about this person break the law? Oh, well, there's someone with power. We can't do anything to them. It's like, okay, how about this person? Oh, they also have power. How about this person? Oh, they have no power at all, so why would we lock them up? Generally, they only lock up people that try to live within the system. Not the people that are either above it or below it. So let's say you're your standard citizen, you work a 9 to 5, you contribute to society, pay taxes, you're standard. Let's say you just do what you do, right? Now, you are the perfect target for what laws would do to an average person. Shaming and arrest and just generally fucking up your life if you do something really evil or bad or whatever, as the law is designed to do. However, if you are either below or above, you may, let's say, lose your job, but you'll find another one quickly because you know people, obviously, and you also know dirty people. So you'll be able to get another job relatively easily. You're not too concerned. Concussion? Yeah, it's mainly impact, so I'll do that one. Actually, I'll increase that, actually. Concussion rounds? I never get to really use these. There we go. And, man, does it... Because generally laws only affect those that live in the society to its fullest, like taking advantage of not only its benefits, but its downsides as well. If you did not do that... Actually, I'm going to grab a lemonade real quick, chat. I'll be right back. I'll rant a little bit later.
Otis finds it odd that humans only get a few years to live, yet spend most of that time
doing everything wrong.
learning how to live.
Alright, I am back, chat. I grabbed some drinklage from the fridge, my scraplets, and got some water to enjoy my lemonade with. Nice. Hope you guys have been enjoying Nora Nightwave, but we got work to do. As the master of the Drunken Tenno, I got work to do. A ton of it. And it's not being done by myself, of course. But I got work to do. Man, am I pissed. Oh, right. Barrow's coming tomorrow. It's funny, I actually started my other account up yesterday again. I haven't played it in like, oh my god, so long.
Navigation has been
Ooh.
updated with new invasions. Chaos is spreading.
You know what, Lotus? I can't stop everything, okay? Yeah. I'll do Disruptor because that gives me impact. Generally, the Strum is a pretty high impact shotgun, so that will work. What was the thing? Not Shotgun Barrage, because that's Rate of Fire, Cleanse Infested, Shotgun Savvy. Where is it? Shell Compression? Nope. I'm trying to remember the one. Oh, Point Blank, that's it. It's always that one thing. You always try to remember which one is the general damage one. Can I do max? No, I don't have enough endo. Unfortunate. Well, I'm going to see how much crystals I have real quick on Deimos. Because I may want to use a shotgun just to enjoy my shotgunning. Because I am a melee brawler right now. And I might as well fucking lean into that shit while I can. Oh yeah, smooth as ever. Hell yeah. Oh. Oh, it's delicious lemonade. Oh my god. Yeah, so ideologies are inherently flawed. God. Do I say this as a matter of fact or a figure of speech? There's no easy way to actually declare it, too. Because an ideology generally becomes on how well it can be fulfilled. Regardless on what the ideology may be. I'll probably do... I think I might just do gem runs tonight, I think. Something nice, easy, low, and slow. Yeah, unfortunately, the clan's a little busy with other things at the moment, so it is just me. Like I said, I'm a clan of 2 people. Me and First, who's in the chat sometimes, so... Yeah, friend. Let's see Sutrine. Unearth Sutrine. Stellated Netherite. Corfu. Oh man, I still don't have enough because her main blueprint is how much I have right now. So if I do, I'm gonna calculate if I do 2 more runs and see what I get. Okay. Alright, we're gonna leave. We'll do 2 more runs of Crystal Defense. Or, sorry, not Crystal Defense. Mirror Defense. And see what we get. Alright, Ember Heirloom. Ugh. I remember there's like a massive shit fit over the Heirloom skins. I could see why. You know, they're just like a premium skin. Like, and generally the adage, oh, you don't have to buy it kind of thing does get annoying after a while.
As the enemy is eliminated, Citrine's remnants appear, the void manifesting her last wish to protect Belric and Rania.
What is this Volt doing? Mate, power us up. We got murder to do. Lots of it. God. This is what Carlo would call tourists. Maybe he's just using a lot of shock, maybe, and I just don't notice it. Yeah, this shotgun not good. It is the Mark 1 for a reason. It's not built to be good. It's just built to be there. At least I can use the Ether Daggers, at least. Which I thought I got the twin... Or the Homing Fangs. Oh, no. Homing Fang is only for single daggers, not doubles. There we go. Not a strong shotgun, but it's the best I got. Unfortunately. No Korath or Korath Prime today. Uh-oh. Oh, really, dude? What? Why? Maybe he was just curious on doing nodes and he didn't know what he was doing. I could see that. It still bothers the hell out of me. Oh, no.
You're here to defend something that defies my own understanding of the void. These crystals need you. Stop the Grineer and Corvus.
But yeah, generally the problem with any ideology, regardless if it's a positive or negative in your opinion, is generally it relies on the ability of people being perfect. Or the most ideal of themselves, which is never the case. Like, come on here. People always have a bad day, you know, people won't always be able to relate. Stuff like that. That always happens. I'm never going to be like, you know what, people can always be perfect and they'll never be flawed. And that's the problem with ideologies. They always assume everyone in, let's say, a society or a population or whatever have you, will be perfect. Like, they will always be flawless, they will always pick the right decisions, they will always think for the greater good or whatever the ideology would demand of them. But no. People are people. We are fundamentally flawed. Tons of flaws. And people normally try to eradicate the human aspect. Because if there was exception to a rule, then there must be an exception to every rule. Therefore, we don't have authority. Therefore, we can't really enact power. You could argue generally a lot of ideologies are power dynamics, essentially. Whatever the power dynamic may be. At least the shotgun's better against Corpus, but Corpus are generally weaker. You know, even with point blank shot, I don't think his point blank is working out too well. Okay. Well, at least we have a ton of damage coming our way from our Saren there, which is good. It's getting us damage and points and everything. Yeah. That's the funny thing when people are like, oh, this ideology is better than this one. I'm like, no, they all have flaws. And even the best kind of ideologies will always have the most massive amount of flaws because of the expectation everyone being ideal. No one will be ideal. Like, that's the thing. Like, you may have, like, good states of mind, but you'll never be, like, the perfect XYZ person. It's just not going to happen. Every time, you got to be realistic. That's the problem with ideologies. They're never realistic with people. That becomes a massive problem when everyone's like, the entire society must be perfect. Must follow these rules. Must always be this and always be that. It's like, no, you can never be like that. It will never be like that, and the worst thing is, the more perfection, quote-unquote, you try to create, the less and less perfect the system you will become. Nice. Seems like this squad is really ganging up. Let's go. 25 and 18. It was funny, my brother's like, oh, you should have your high level account and join your guild. I'm like, nope. That'd be broken as shit. My brother's a silly guy sometimes. It's like, nah, it undermines the whole idea of working towards a goal. Because, like, my goal right now is just getting the clan stronger, you know? Getting more people than just me and First, you know? Getting like-minded alcoholics to join us on our perpetually drunken quest of drinking debauchery and having fun in Warframe. I gotta reload this thing. This thing is a piece of shit. But it's my piece of shit, and I'm gonna use it. God damn it. Damn, ice really hurts these fuckers. Stop the rodents. Good sir, I am a little too big to be a rodent.
There's a heavy unit approaching.
And I do hate fighting Grineer, though. Especially with a non-optimized setup. Because this does, like, you're like, oh, it's only like level 20 or 30 content. It's like, yes, but when you have, like, limited mods, no no power, and just, you're just weak as hell, yeah, nah. It's not a fun time. Yoop. Oh, so you just get galvanized shot, or those things like, ah, yes, but that takes bot capacity, that takes doing steel path. That also takes doing arbitrations, which you need to get steel path for. Not ideal. What the? That guy was moving fast. What the hell? I'm more hoping I actually unlock either Sutrine Blueprint, which would be the best to unlock. That one would be the most needed, which would be the Sutrine Blueprint. And, what do you call it? Ow, you bastard, come here. And another part of Sutrine. Because I have the blueprint for the, I think the core fuel, which is the scythe. And I think that's the Stalfos, which is the shotgun. Shotgun-like weapon. I'm pretty sure it's like a shotgun, but it's more like a shard cannon or something, where it just shoots a bunch of shards and shit. Okay. You're like, man, this Valkyrie can get around. I'm like, yeah, of course, she's got a grappling hook. What do you think was gonna happen? Grappling hooks were great. Also, I'm not really using it that much. Because sometimes its momentum really carries, and you don't want to be flung across the map sometimes. I know that's your goal. But pesky details, of course. But no, I'll probably do 2 hours tonight, because I was kind of late to stream. But the thing is, I gotta work early tomorrow, and a few other nonsense things, so... It'll only be a 2-hour stream. Unfortunate. But I may try to do some more stuff tomorrow evening, really late though. Probably like 9 o'clock or something, like 9 o'clock EDD time. Interesting Lotus is so invested in Sutrine's story, or these two people. Wonder if there was something she was involved with. You always have to wonder. But no, it's funny when I think about like reviewing games or something. It always makes me laugh when I think about like professional game reviewers, and there's just absolute apathy towards the thing they review. It's like, let's say you're a book critic, and you just absolutely hate books, and you critique them anyway because you were deemed good at it. Like, I couldn't imagine such an insufferable existence. Because that means your entire job is something you absolutely loathe just because you were good at doing it. Like, my god, just imagine that shit. I wouldn't doubt that happens to a lot of people, though. They're just really good at something, but they absolutely fucking hate it. I think a lot of people at their jobs are probably like that, where they're really de-incentivized for doing well because they know inevitably if you do well, people will expect more from you. And inevitably, that just makes you more reliant, and that makes you more of a guinea pig. Of like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Don't get me wrong, it helps you flex your skills and shows that, oh, you're loyal and you're willing and all that. But it does cause a problem where people do rely on you too much. And people do inevitably burn out, obviously. Like, people are human. I think that's the one thing I always want to do stress on, like, streaming and everything is people are naturally human. We all struggle. We all inevitably, we all die eventually. And things like that. But people don't want to accept that eventuality. And they're just like, no, everything's good. We can do this or do that. I'm like, no, we'll all eventually fade out into obscurity. And generally that happens. Stories last centuries. Monuments only last millennia. Humans only last centuries. So our stories outlive us. So we outlive really nothing, to be honest. God, I feel bad for us. We've only been getting relics. But then again, we are not on the rotation yet. So we'll see. So generally, it's like people... Well, I could add animals, but humans are animals. So what would be the best way to describe... Well, no, that's how it goes. It's humans outlive nothing. We are like the bottom of the food chain of lifespan. Our writings will outlast us, but only by a few centuries. And then our monuments will only outlast us by a few millennia. Because anyone that lives past, let's say, like 2 millennium, as in generation-wise, will not even remember what that thing was for. Because if you look through ancient history to modern history, we know things were built, let's say, but they're now gone. And that's an example of the monument only lasted a millennium. Or millennias. Millenniums? How would you plural that shit? And generally it's referring to that our stories will outlive us. And then our monuments will outlive our stories. And then that's where the knowledge is lost. Which is unfortunate, because we have many stories to tell. And we have many stories that should last a lifetime. But if no one passes along those stories, they inevitably just die out. That inevitably occurs every time. You bastard, come here. Yep, this one here. 3 crystals here. 5 crystals here. Okay. It's a sad thing, you know, but I think it's a very human thing. We desire to outlive our lifespans through great works or great monuments or anything else, and inevitably we get replaced by those great monuments, and then we get completely forgotten. And a lot of people are like, we will live forever through our works and our labor. It's like, no. You never get forgotten about, because your story no longer gets passed down. Without that story, you are nothing. Let's say you build a monument. Well, that thing will not last longer than a millennium or two. And you're like, oh, that's long enough to be remembered. But generally the people that are trying to, let's say, create legacy or memory are the ones that are trying to live forever through their works. Paintings or monuments or stories or anything else, they try to live through their stories. What stories they told, what ones they understood, which ones they loved or were beloved by them. But inevitably, or eventually I suppose would be the better word, eventually they all fade from obscurity and from our minds. And it will be brought up 100 years later as a interesting footnote in literature history, or they were an interesting person, or maybe someone does a kind of a slap together bio about you, like biography. Generally you want to do that when the subject's alive, but hey, you know, some people can be out of date with their knowledge and be fine-ish. And it's unfortunate, to be fair. Like, there are great monuments we've lost, and a lot of other things as well. God, why is everyone going so fast? Oh, that's... Oh, because they have a Volt Spectre. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, it's a Spectre. I thought so. I was wondering why we were being boosted and everything. I'm like, oh yeah, because we have a Spectre. I don't see a lot of people use Spectres. So there's actually the C1 here. Probably because we just don't have a 4-man team, so the guy's like, I probably should pop a Spectre for Volt. Just to create, get damage output with the shields. Using Volt Shock is pretty good. A lot of things like that. Yeah, a lot of things like that, yeah. But no, I think I'll probably end stream after this match. After we get to round 4 and see what the hell is going on. Like I said, started late, I'm going to leave early, you know. Bit unconventional stream today. Like I said, I was just busy like working on other stuff for other things, like just work stuff and everything, so I'm just exhausted as hell. And even this is my escapism. Like, I was excited to stream today, and I still am, but things I have to pace myself. That is, I think, one of the most important things about like content creation or anything else. Pace yourself. A lot of people are like, okay, I'm gonna make 10 different kinds of videos and try to figure out a really cool concept and art and everything else. I'm like, just pace yourself per story, or in this case, per project. Let's say every stream of mine is a project. I want to do it per stream and think about and lament on every single stream I've done, or singular streams, and think, okay, what's a better way to stream? What's a better way to improve? What's a way to change things? Do I need to change things? Do I want to change my voice a little? Do I want to have a higher octane? Do I want to be more excited? Or stuff like that, right? Like, you have to pace yourself, but also be thoughtful on your pace. And it's not a race, it's a marathon that runs a long while. You have to be very careful. But at the same time, be a little reckless, you know? You only live once after all that shit. So I'm pretty sure this is the Saren player. Oh no, he was the, what's her name? Korra player. Okay. But saying the Korra player's still here. Oh, there we go. I was saying, man, they're still saying the Korra person's here. Which is not bad, actually. Yeah, but I do have to figure out how to be more social. That's one of the things I'm going to work on during my streams and everything, is just trying to be more social and understand. Okay, not understanding. That's a foolish endeavor. Trying to be understanding with people inevitably makes you the fool, generally. Well, Tyler Regor, you're not much of a poet yourself, so you can't bash other poetry when you don't know it as much. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay. 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 Yeah, my blades are nothing more than toothpicks to him at this point. But luckily I can dump the ether daggers and get a new weapon. Which is good, because I do kind of want to place these. I love the ether daggers, but I don't love them too much to not switch them out for something a little more destructive. Especially something a little bit more destructive with a bit more pow to it, you know? Especially a lot more pow. No, they just lack the oomph of murder machining these guys. Or blending them. Actually, that does remind me, I don't think my carrier has the vacuum on. I don't think, it doesn't feel like it. I do feel like I do have to ram myself into things. Yep, there we go. I'm gonna come over here. It's funny, I've been doing, like, I think 2 or 3 runs every time I start stream for this. I think the last, like, 2 or 3 streams. And I still don't have enough to even get, like Sutrine is a grind. But I know there's a Warframe even worse than her for grind. Which is, what's his name? Or her name. Varuna. Varuna's a grind. Like, she breaks your mind and your soul when you grind her. Like, my god, you thought, Crystal Gal was bad? Oh, fuck no. Wolf Mom is bad. Wolf Mom takes a lot of energy to farm. And durability. You have to be fucking durable and willing to just sit there. And die. And try to survive in a survival. And survival's not even that hard. The problem is, when every 5 minutes when the Thrax spawns, and the chance of nonsense, where it's like, oh, you might get it, or you might not get it. You're like, what do you mean I may or may not get it? It's like, well, you know. You're like, what do you mean, you know? It's a more annoying thing about certain farms, especially for, like Sutrine I'm fine with. I don't mind Sutrine's farm. Because it's nice low-level fodder I can use to grind equipment and everything at the same time. So I'm not too irked going, oh, this is trash and everything. I'm fine with it, because just generally leveling stuff and just using new material and gear, it's kind of nice. It might fade on me really quickly, though, when it's the same mirror defense over and over and over again. But I'm like, that's what this is the other content is for. If I get bored of, let's say, mirror defense Taya Pass, I just go to, what's his name? Oh, God, what is it name? Oh, what's its name? Oh, crap, I can't remember. It will come to me eventually, but I can't remember exactly. Oh, the laboratory. Mirror defense. And on how that one works and everything. Oh, right, it's up there. Yep, they're collecting up there. Next one's down here. Right? No, it's up here, I think. Yep. 5 crystals there. More crystals there. Oh, right. So the Korra was the one with the Volt Spectre. Okay, that kind of makes sense. I wonder why, though. They wasted a Spectrum. They didn't even go to round 4. Which is very bizarre. Because generally, you'd think you would at least go to rotation C. Just to see. But hey, whatever. But maybe some people are like, okay, we'll do up to 3. If we don't get any, like, pieces or anything from 2 or 3, it's a wash. I'm like, no, at least do 4. Because you might have a better potential. It's better to, like, just do it one more time just to see. Because you're not wasting that much. Alright, Murder Mittens. Back to full power. Let's go. Hell yeah. Murder Mittens. Yes. Murder, 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 murder. Hell yeah. Oh, crap. Nope. It gives you more opportunity to collect more crystals and everything, too. Nah, it's an all relic run. Wow. You know, it might be funny. I might just have more relics by the end of this because of this. It may be very funny, to be fair. Nice. I can ditch the Kraken as well. Nice. Means I can even get more weapons in my arsenal to start building, if I have the ability to. Yeah, I have 90 and 80, which isn't bad. See ya, my guy. All right. Okay, let's see what we got. So I can ditch 2 weapons now, but I want to see if I have any other secondaries or primaries I can start raising. Lado I can raise to max. Yep. Ether daggers. Broken scepter. So I can get rid of the ether daggers and that. Is there any other weapon I can get rid of? I can probably get rid of Dread. Yeah, I can get rid of Dread and the Boltar. I like the Boltar, but I may not keep it. And the Boltar is not too expensive to rebuild. And Dread isn't expensive either. Oh, right, I'm MR9 now, so I should be able to build Hate. Where is Hate? Ceramic dagger. Hate, there it is. I have the material for it, believe it or not. Hell yeah. And the money. Oh, and Galatine, which I need to build for what's its face. This one. Galatine Eidolon shards. I have almost all of it except Rune Marrow for Sun and Moon. And I like Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon is my preferred weapon, actually. Oh, I have the Seraglass. I just need that, and then I can actually build this. Which are the heavy war fans for Zaku. Alright, let's see here. Yeah, I have the core fuel rod, the receiver, and Oracle cells. But I need it's that and that. The handle and that. Which I may not want to keep because I am currently like leveling stuff. And I see like Sutrine's gear as like high level gear. I think I'll build this. Because it is a secondary I can build. This one I can build. Yep, 30k. Serenus I can't build. I can build the Gorgon. Which isn't a bad investment, actually. Gorgon. Draken. Can't build that yet. And I don't think I'll be able to build that for a while. Plasma, the Phasma. This one I can build. Yeah, right now, all thing that's holding me back is just my level. Or lack of levels. Ash Systems, which I could use to get the Smoke Ephemera. Sutrine Neuroptics. Gara, Haro, Avara Systems. Loki, Nyx, Oberon. Octavia. Oh, right, you can get Oberon from Railjack. It's funny, I never really played a lot of Railjack to get him. Rhino Chassis. It's funny, I'm out of Felt right now. Which is funny, because I can get that really quick. Zaku, which is... Oh my god. Zaku's a lot. Because the Gravimex systems can only be gotten from having tier 5, what's-their-face, and getting Gyromag is only from Little Duck, which is Vox Solaris. Senegoth, which is Void Storms. No longer drift in the Void. Senegoth has returned to hit. He and his Shadow deal heavy damage and heavy survivability. Yeah, that's the cool thing about Senegoth. I like Senegoth as a Warframe. Whole ghost aesthetic, really cool. Damn shame he's really bad. Okay, in my personal belief, I don't believe that. I think he's a pretty cool Warframe. And you can literally make anything work in this goddamn game if you're willing enough to do so. But my god, does it cost you a lot to do so. Good, I'll have Hate. I'll have all that. Oh, I forgot to build another Forma. And I forgot to grind another Forma. Crap. Strum. Okay, what is my current night waves? Okay, hacking, Zeramin. So that'll get me another 50. Is there anything I can get? I've already done Heat Sword. There's the Jaw Blade. Octave. Ooh, this one looks nice. Pretty sure this is like the really cool. Yeah, this is the really cool looking Octavia skin. Oh, the Tenogen. Nice. Orkin Catalyst. I have so many Orkin Catalysts. I have 5 of the fucking things. Jesus Christ. Saturn 6. Grenade Launcher. Wild Frenzy. The weird Volt Helmet. Ew. Volt Hood. Yeah, but I really gotta pick up the pace. I do. I think I have a game plan for next time. I'll do more Deviri next time. More Sutrine. And then I might either start working on Steel Path, or I might start working on... Oh, man, because there's no way to actually get a bunch of stuff for, like, Warframe slots and everything quickly. There's only Nightwave I'm aware of. So I might look up if there's a way to get Warframe slots, which I doubt, because if there was, then that wouldn't be a major hindering factor in this game. Oh, hells. God damn, I'm tired today. Holy. What's...
As ready as you will ever be.
No, that's Sweeper. Let me see. I literally don't even have Vacuum on him. I'm a goddamn fool. Good googly moogly. Okay. Let's shove that in there. Vacuum. Shield Charger. Of course, Shield Charger. Regen or ammo case. Ammo case. Fuck it. Why not? Yes. Let's just do the weirdest things I can put on it. Okay. I'll end stream today, and I'll probably do a stream tomorrow. Probably around 9 o'clock EDD time. Just because tonight, you know, has not been a good night for me. I had to work late, and I feel really annoyed. And I know I like this game as escapism, but I do need to take a break from it every once in a while, even though it's been a day or so. A day in stream time, but I played it yesterday as well, so my patience for it is kind of at a limit at the moment. I still do tremendously like it. It's just one of those things where you do have to pace yourself tremendously. This has been DRM76Z, come from you live on the Graveyard on Wavelength 388. I hope you all have a good evening and a good night. DRM signing off.